what I always remind my imposter syndrome is the fact that I am competent and I'm qualified. You can't discard that. So you can challenge any other area in my life, but you can never take away the qualification that I have and the competence that I have that has gained me that experience. So yes, there will be feelings of being inadequate, or maybe feelings of, am I competent enough? But it's a reminder that I continuously give myself that I wouldn't be here. The HPCSA wouldn't have made me pass my board if they didn't think that I was competent. The University of Forte wouldn't have given me my degree if they didn't think I was competent. And God would not have given me the dream and would not given me the instruction to jump into private practice if I was a flimsy psychologist.
Hello guys, welcome to yet another episode of the Mom on Purpose with Busi Sholo podcast. I am Busi Sholo and I'm your host. So grateful for the love and for the support on the previous episodes. We even hit 200 listeners. That's on Anchor, and on Apple Podcast, we ranked number 2 on the newest podcast on the blog under the kids and family category. I'm so grateful for the support. Okay, today's a guest episode and I've got an amazing mom who's joining me today. Her name is Asisithi Sejosengoe and she's a mom, she's a wife, she's a sister, and she's a registered counseling psychologist. She has her own private practice. But when she's not busy in the practice, she likes exploring coffee shops because drinking coffee is her livelihood. So without any further ado, let me welcome my guest, Asi. Hi, Asi. How are you? Thank you so much for joining me on this episode of Mom on Purpose with Busi Sholo, the podcast.
Hi, Busi. I'm well. How are you?
I'm well, thank you. I'm so honored to have you and I'm so excited. The last time we had a conversation, I think, was during lockdown in 2020 when we were doing Instagram lives and chatting to moms.
Yes, we're unpacking. I think our last conversation, we're unpacking mom guilt.
Yes. Just to get started, I just want you to tell us a little bit about yourself.
Oh my God. Okay. I struggle with this question because I always feel like I have to come up with like qualifications and experience, like in a formal work interview. But Asi is a young woman married for, I think this is my 7th or 8th year. I've kind of stopped counting when we turned 5. So I think 7 or 8. I think 7 because we got married in 2015. I am a mom. I'm a sister. I am a businesswoman. I'm a psychologist. I'm a friend. I'm an aunt. And I'm a mentor. And yeah, I'm just one who really enjoys the simple things of life, like waking up and not having a rushed morning, taking time off from work, having coffee. Coffee is my life.
Yes.
Yes. So yeah, I'm just one who really just prioritizing the simple things of life and living life as simple as I can. And just making moves at the same time.
I love that. I love the route you're saying you like the simplicity of it and something that's not rushed, because sometimes we have this notion, in order for me to appear as if I'm doing something, I just have to always keep moving. So to just get started, I want you to let us know if you had ever felt lost in motherhood in any way. And if you have, how did you find yourself again, if you found yourself? And if you haven't, what do you think helped you not to lose yourself in motherhood?
Yeah. So, Usi, I don't think I ever lost myself in motherhood or in the journey of being a parent, because I think, well, a little background, I started parenting at the age of 16 because my mom passed away when I was about 16 years old, turning 17. So I started parenting my sister, who was 13 or 12 at the time, together with my nephew, who was about 4 or 5 years old at the time. So we lived in a house where the child headed home houses. So I was the head of that house. So I've had tons of experience in terms of being a mom and parenting children that were not biologically mine. So I think that in itself came at a very it actually contributed and had a very big advantage in how I navigated mom when I had children of my own and I became a mother biologically. And also, so after that, my sister had a child when she was about 19, who at the time, I was like the more wise person because of the age, as well as not having a mom at the time. So having that experience, I think for me, set me up for success in terms of not losing myself in motherhood, because I had established a sense of what it means to be a mom, how to navigate it. And I think one of the biggest contributions to the fact that I also didn't lose myself in motherhood is the fact that my child was planned. Mm-hmm. So with the preparations of becoming a mom, I went to therapy and I talked about it. I was like,
wow.
Yes. So I was like, I'm planning on becoming a mom. And this is why I'm wanting to become a mom, because psychologists are always asking me, so why do you want to become a mom? So I had to come up with reasons that were bigger than myself, bigger than just wanting to have a child because everybody's doing that. And I was young at the time. I started planning when I was about 26. Mm-hmm. And I knew that I wanted to give birth when I turned 28 or 29, depending on God's will, of course, whether or not it would be aligned. So I had all of these plans, and being in therapy was the major positive thing that helped me contribute in terms of, it helped me in the contribution of staying Asi or remaining as Asi, having my own life, my own identity, my own goals and dreams, and then bringing in another human being to my life. So there was a very clear distinction that my psychologist helped me get to, where she was like, remember, the child is joining you in your life. You're not joining them in their life. So you have to create a life that is accommodating them. And therefore you remain living the way in which you currently are, but just with an accommodation of having a human being that you are taking care of. So having that at the back of my mind in planning and structuring the process of becoming a mom, and what that would mean, really, really did help. And also my husband and I had talked about how I would remain at home for a minimum of 2 years, or maximum of 2 years, a maximum of 2 years after I'd given birth. So also that sort of like, I was like, okay, so I have one thing to focus on, being a mom, but at the same time, I've got my master's degree that I'm trying to complete. I was writing only a thesis at the time. So then I have to accommodate it. So I'm writing a thesis and I have to accommodate being a mom. And so navigated all of that process. I'm not saying it was easy, because I had all of this wisdom and all of this knowledge and had all of these revelations, but it really did help having them. A lot of things didn't shock me. A lot of things didn't steer me off my direction, or didn't steer me off, but also just helped me remain authentic to the experience of being a mom, and helped to keep me grounded and not forgetting who Asi is.
I love that. And I've never heard someone saying, when I wanted to have a child, I went to therapy.
Yeah.
I hear people saying about when we wanted to get married, we went and got marriage counseling, but first time ever hearing that someone went. And I think that's actually really wise.
It is. Currently, I tend to make a joke with my husband, and when he's having like this blown up moments where fatherhood is showing him flames. And I look at what is showing him flames. I'm like, if he had gone to therapy, what you are you would have it, like, because there's a thing that therapy did for me where it sort of prepared me for the worst. So I knew that the worst would come, and I knew how to navigate that worst when it comes, because I had the tools and the resources of how to navigate that. Obviously, there were surprises along the way that really did catch me off guard. But for most things, I was really grounded. So I think what motivated the decision to go to therapy was I was already in therapy anyway, because I was studying to become a psychologist, and it's recommended that you go to therapy so that you have the experience of the other person. So during that time, I was like to my psychologist, then I'm planning to be a mom. and we unpacked that. Even after I gave birth, like after 3 months, I went back. And I'm still in therapy even now, even though I don't go as regular as I used to go. But therapy has been like a resource that I use in my life because I know that it helps me. And I'm not saying that because I'm a psychologist, but I've really seen the benefits of how it helps me. So just like people go to therapy for preparation for marriage, I went for preparation of marriage and preparation of child. And I'm probably going to go when I prepare for retirement and empty nesting, so that I'm just like there unpacking, getting ready. And yeah.
So for every big transition, you go for therapy for it.
Yes.
And it makes sense. Wow. I'm still amazed. I learned something new today. And I just wanted to just add on to what you said about having to be a mom to your sister and later on her daughter as well. So did that ever make you think of maybe having kids later on, or maybe be like, you know what, with these two, I don't think I want to be a mother? Like, did you ever have those thoughts?
Yeah.
Obviously, you got married and stuff.
Yeah. No ways. Absolutely no ways. Well, see, one of my biggest dreams was to be a mom to my own children. So I was never deterred from that because of the experiences of being a mom at such a young age. So no, I mean, it was hard. And I did think, you have those moments where you're really struggling to calm a child down and it's like 4 a.m. in the morning and you're so tired and you're like, I'm never having kids. But I had those moments, but then I would come back to my senses and realize that actually being a mom is personally one of my biggest dreams. So, yeah.
Yeah, no, we all have those 4 a.m. moments where you just like, I don't know what I was doing to myself, but
yeah,
then
definitely.
Here we are wanting more kids, you see. And then when it comes to your identity, do you feel like being a mom ever changed your identity at all?
No, I think not changed it, but contributed to the growth of that identity, of my identity. I think it gave me, being a mom contributed to my life, to a life of more meaning and more fulfillment as a woman. So it didn't necessarily change my identity. I added to all the things that I already saw myself as, all the things that God already told me I was. Being a mom and a nurturer were added onto those things.
I love that. I love that because I read somewhere that motherhood is like a facet of a woman's identity. It's not its entire.
Yes. Oh, I love that.
Sometimes we tend to look at it as if motherhood is an identity on its own. So it's like a piece of the puzzle, basically completing. And then there's this narrative that we normally are pressured into believing, and then we subscribe into it. I know I subscribe to it, that when you a mom or when you become a mom, your dreams should take the back seat. That like you should put your aside and forget about them. Because in some way, there's this belief that when you do or when you continue to pursue your dreams, you sort of put your kids at a disadvantage. So what's your take on that?
Okay, so I do not subscribe to that at all, because I think, okay, so this is how I see myself as a mom. I'm basically like a role model to my kids of what life could be if you work hard enough to attain or succeed in the thing that you want to do. So I'm always having that at the back of my mind, that at the end of the day, I am almost carving up a journey for them, and they are being witnesses of what you can achieve, and that you can achieve it while you are being a mom. So for me, being a mom, I would say that it made me even more robust in the way that I gave myself or continued to dream even after I had children. Because I mean, I was writing my thesis when I gave birth, And then 2 days later, as soon as I could see that I can walk a bit of a distance, I started collecting my data for my thesis because life had to continue and I had to.
Was it that soon?
Yeah, I mean, and then after that, a couple of days later, I think a week later or two, I was now trying to analyze the data that I had collected. And I mean, Luacho attended supervision sessions with my supervisor for my master's degree, and she was probably like a month old, and he would be sitting there rocking her, and I'd be taking notes, and we'd be writing my thesis. So she's always been part of the things that I do, because I was always like, this is what you came into my life, and I was trying to achieve a master's degree. So I'll give myself a break so that I do give myself the intended and the well-deserved rest that I need after you've been born. But then when I have to then go back into living the life that I want to live.
I love that. I love that so much. And I think for me, it goes back to what you said about therapy, that you were already, that this is my life and it will remain like this. And I'm just going to add on or umdana to the life that I'm already living. And then, so how do you do all that you do? And as I know, people call it balance. And while we're still talking about that, let us know what balance means to you. But how do you keep your practice running while you are a wife, a mom, a friend, and all the other things that you do, speaking engagements and all of that? Yeah.
Plan, Wusi. Everything is in my diary.
Okay.
So that's the basic. I think that's the point of departure for me in everything that I do. I have everything planned. I write it down that from 8 to 4, those are my working hours. And between those times, I do everything that relates to work. And then 4 p.m., I leave my office to go pick up my child from school. And then from there on, I'm a mom, I'm a friend, I'm a wife, I'm a mom. I mean, everything else, then those roles will resume. And then even when I was training to become a psychologist, I sort of started doing this habit of not taking work home. And if it means I need to stay late at work in order to complete the work that needs to be done, I would do that. So that, because I wanted it to be a clear distinction between what work is and what home is, so that I never have to have those two roles almost confuse each other and cause me to be overwhelmed. Yeah. So balance for me, I don't know if I have balance in my life, but I do know that there will be things or areas or aspects in my life where I'm just like, yes. And like, I've got the ball rolling with these ones. And there will always be other areas where I'm dropping the balls. And I've taught myself to be okay with dropping balls when it's necessary to focus on what needs my attention most. Because everything I do in my life doesn't always need the level of attention of 100, for example. Then I'll see which area of my life needs more time, needs more of my brain power, needs more of my presence, needs more of my attention. And I'll give to that and I'll plow to that and water those areas. And then some areas are just like flying and they're succeeding by themselves. They hardly need me to be paying attention. I just need a little bit of attention here, maybe to water that specific area. But in everything I do, being a mom, being a wife, and being me, they take priority. Everything else is second base. Or maybe secondary to what my priorities are. So that's how I think I maintain the balance. Yeah.
I actually love that, because for me, that's how I've decided to define what balance is.
Yeah.
Basically, taking certain things off my plate to make space for the things that need most of my attention now.
Yes.
And I love it, because you can't be in all places giving yourself the same amount of way in all these areas. It's impossible.
Definitely.
So, but I feel like most of us we want, or we rather expect or define balance in that way, that I want 50% of me in my marriage and then 50% of me here, but it rarely ever works like that.
It definitely never works. And what we end up doing is that we end up feeling burnt out. And then burnout will eventually cause you not to be able to show up in any area because you're absolutely depleted. And there's that whole cliche saying of you cannot pour from an empty cup. I take it very seriously. So even in the striving of being all of these things, I always remember to pour into my own cup. Like, what does Asi want? What makes me happy? And then what are the plans or the strategies that I could put in place to make sure that Asi is watered, that Asi's cup continues to be filled. And also the other thing in my life that I think I'm really grateful for is that I have a very solid support system. And my support system is the people in my life. And I also think that sometimes having the privilege or the luxury of money where you can outsource some of the things. I know that I don't need to be everything in every area of my life. There are things that I'm going to outsource. Like, for example, I won't be cleaning my house every week. I will not be spring cleaning. I do not have the energy for that. And therefore, thank God I can afford someone who can come and sort that area for me. So outsourcing those resources. And then I know that my husband is always there. Like, if I need help with anything, he is my solid support system. My basics with him are covered. And then I've got my friend. Sometimes I'm unable to leave work in time because it's been an emergency because of the specific work that I do. My friends are on speed dial. I call them, please pick Luacho up and take it for ice cream while I complete this, or take it to the beach while I do this. So utilizing the support systems that I have, that God has given me, in order to continue focusing on what needs to happen on that particular hour. So that's how I'm able to do everything. I'm definitely not a one-man oiled machine.
Yes. And I love that, because sometimes as moms, we have this analogy or notion that it should all be done by me. For me to be a good mom, I should be doing it. And then as a result, some moms find it even difficult to accept the help. So I love that you said utilize your support system, because it's not sometimes that people are not there to offer their support. It's whether or not we are allowing them, we are receiving the help that they try to give us. Because, I mean, a person can say, Asi, phone me when you need this, or do that, tell me when this is short or whatever. But if you never call, or if you never ask, or if you always say no, then eventually people will be just like, she doesn't need any help. She's got her things together.
Super weird.
Yes, I'm not going to ask more. So I think the struggle for so many moms is accepting the help, or sometimes even asking, because a person can be there and not really know what exactly to do to help you, but you know the help you need. So I think it's very important for us to learn that.
It is. And you know what, Busi, I'm not gonna lie, I did struggle with asking for help at the beginning, because I was like, this, especially when Luacho was like a couple of months old. I was like, this is my child. I brought them into this world. They are my responsibility. People didn't ask part of this thing. I did it all myself. It was a decision that you made, Asi, so live with the consequences. Until obviously I realized that I was having less happy days than I usually would.
Okay.
So then that's when I resumed therapy. I was like, something's going on and I don't know what it is. And so that's when I realized that I'm not asking for help. And when people are asking, I'm not trusting them to be able to be adequate. It is. So then I had to let go, because it was never... I realized that it was actually quite a selfish thing, because if I'm not trusting people to help me with Uluacha, for an example, it means that I am going to be an overwhelmed mom. Luacha doesn't deserve that. I'm going to be a tired mom. Luacha doesn't deserve that. I don't deserve that. So it became more a me thing than it was a motherhood thing or a mothering thing. So then I had to face me and confront me to say, go, you've got issues of trust. You've got to let go. And then that's when I started letting go a little bit. And obviously you start with like the basic people, the primary people, which is your sister or your sibling. And then you move on to the in-laws, and then you start trusting, and then you watch them take care of your child. You teach them about the routine, and you communicate. This is how I like it done. This is what I want it done. This is what I usually do, and being receptive to the fact that they are going to be making mistakes. And yeah, so it's been a long journey, but yeah. But now I'm in a point where I'm just like, I will take, if you're offering me help, thank you.
Yes.
Give it to me. If I need to go take a nap, I'll go take a nap so that you are able to help me. Yeah.
I love that. I love, because I mean, that's the issue of help, actually, whether asking or receiving, is a big issue for so many moms. Even moms who will be emailing and saying, "No, our biggest problem when it comes to pursuing our dreams is that we don't have enough help." Then I'm always responding, say, do you not have help? Or do you not ask for your help? Or do you not receive help when people give? And then that becomes a difficult question for the mom to answer and say, I'm not sure whether I just don't have help or whether I haven't allowed people to come in. Oh my goodness. And then you said you are very big on making sure, Guti, you have got your time, right? So how do you make time for yourself, and what do you do for you?
Okay, so this is not deep at all. I hope you're not expecting anything.
No. It doesn't have to be deep.
So I don't work on Mondays. That's one. That's one of the ways in which I take care of myself. And what I do on those Mondays is breathe, listen to myself breathe. Sometimes I'll do a bath soak and then not take my phone with me, and maybe not take a book, so that I'm forced to spend time with me. And I ask myself simple questions like, how are you doing, Asi? How's Asi? And what's been happening? What are you bothered by? Why are your jaws clenched and your shoulders tense? Yeah, so just like simple questions. And then the other thing is that I like move marathons. So I will buy popcorn and juice and watch movies the whole day from 8 o'clock in the morning all the way through. If I pass out in between, I pass out in between. So, and then the other thing is that I do like getting my nails done. So every third week or second week, my nails are being done. I like my hair being done. And so those are the little ways in which I take care of myself. And also I like spending time with my friends. So I'll book a couple of dates during the month. They can be in between my clients or just before I start seeing my clients or at the end of my day. But I make sure that I prioritize that. And I also like spending time with my husband because that fills my cup. So it helps taking care of me. So I'll bother him and spend time with him. And then when I'm really feeling overwhelmed, there was a time, I think it was last year, I started feeling like my feet were floating off the ground, that I wasn't grounded, that there was something that was almost lacking, that I wasn't connected to the source, and my mind and my heart were not aligned. And so I just felt like I was just moving along life and I was responding to what life was throwing at me. And I wasn't being responsible and taking the driver's seat in my own life. So I was just like constantly, almost like I was letting life happen to me.
Yes.
And I wasn't living. So then when I realized that, I took a weekend off, I flew to Cape Town and I booked myself there for the whole weekend. And I tried to ground myself or re-ground myself and realign. So in instances like those, so I did that a couple of times between October and December. And the December one specifically. Yes, a solo location where you leave. You leave. You're like, I'll see you guys later. Something's happening that I need to go take care of. And I don't know what it is. So let me go. So then that trip was the best trip that I've ever taken because I got to I was reintroduced to Asi. I don't know if that makes sense, but that's what happened. As a result, it encouraged and motivated me to do it again. So I did it again in December, just before Christmas, where I was like, I need to have a strategic plan with God. So then I was like, God, what are we doing in 2022? And that's when I realized what God was saying. We're not doing anything new in 2022. We're continuing with what we've been doing in 2021 and 2020. That's the plan. And so that's when the plan and the prayer started for private practice. That's where the courage to resign from my previous job came. That's when everything was like, okay, so these are the things I need to do. And this is where I'm at with my own planning and how I'm showing up in life. So so those are just some of the ways in which I show up for myself and I take care of me.
I love that. I love that so much. And the fact that you go and you soak yourself without your phone. Like for me, I'll take my phone with me to play music, but it's like there's always
a distraction.
Yeah.
It's a distraction. So have the silence. Chill out in the silence. Listen to yourself breathe. Listen to yourself swallow. It's like mindfulness. That's why people call it, mindfulness. So you like sit there, you feel the temperature of the water. How is it making your body feel? How is your body responding? Your heart is beating. When was the last time you heard the sound of your own heartbeat? So
And
so those are the things I just
how excited I was when I first heard my daughter's heartbeat.
Yes, such a precious moment, right?
Yes, I feel like that's the actual time when I was just like actively listening to someone's heart. So location, I'm taking that. I must plan one soon because
plan it. Tell people you are living, buy them pre-packed meals or pre-made meals and put it in the fridge, buy them fruit and be like, guys, you sort yourselves out, it's just 2 days.
Yes. I'll see, because I've gone on a momcation, but it wasn't just me by myself. It was some other mom friends and we all left the kids' houses and we went. But just by myself and just get there and I'll see. I love that idea. And you say those things are not deep. They're very deep, actually.
Well, thank you. Thank you.
Not that they're supposed to be, but they really are. They are like different types of self-care, because I'm including therapy there as well, because you are showing up for yourself by going to therapy and talk about your feelings. And I love how self-aware you are. Like you can pick up that I'm not okay, because sometimes as moms, we just continue. We're just like, no, I'll tend to somebody else's needs first, and we just continue. We drag ourselves around. And it goes back to that point that you made about it's selfish for you to want Loago to have a mom like that. And I love that. I've never thought of it that way. That's no, if I say I want to continue, not allow help and not allow myself to rest, then I'm being selfish, because then my child's going to suffer.
Yes, you're also not giving her the wholesome experience of you as a mom, because you're not whole. Yes. So then her experience of you is going to be affected by that.
And sometimes also thinking back to my years when I was a stay-at-home mom, it was so easy to think that I don't need a break because I'm here. I'm not going to work. I'm not working towards anything. I'm not studying. I'm just here. But whereas when I look back, I was not whole. I was there, but I was not whole. And I wasn't taking breaks with the reason that there's nothing to take a break from.
Being a mom in itself is a job, a full-time job that you need a break from. So, it's important.
It took me a while to get that part, but now I definitely know that it doesn't matter if you are full-time stay-at-home, like you need a break. You should take a break, actually, to refuel, recoup, and then come back. Because when you're there, you're giving off yourself.
Yeah, the amount of attention and energy you give to a baby, it's too much. It's too much.
A lot. Okay, you mentioned that you were pursuing your master's, right? When you had your daughter. And then I still can't believe you took her to all the meetings and you were doing the work a couple of days after. I'm just like, what?
I was chasing a deadline.
Okay. I
Yeah.
see.
Yeah.
I see. So yeah, just please elaborate on that. Like take us through how you built your career, like your business. And at the same time, you wanted to have a child in between, like all of that. You had the child, you have the degree, the dream is achieved. Take us through how that worked.
Okay, so the dream has always been to be a psychologist in private practice. That has never changed since I started studying to become a psychologist back in 2009. Okay, so that's when I started. So that has never been not thought of in all the decisions that I've always made. So with every decision that I've made, that one is part of the end goal of where I want to end up in. Almost like that's the vision. So everything else needs to be feeding the vision. I don't know if that makes sense. Yes. So yeah. So I've never not wanted to be a psychologist in private practice. And I've never not wanted to be a mom. And I also didn't want to have my first child beyond the age of 30. Okay. However, the wanting to be a psychologist in private practice, I thought that it was a dream that I would gift my self-worth when I turned 40. And therefore,
really?
Yes. So therefore,
what were you going to do? Sorry, I just want to know, what were you going to do? What was the plan?
I was going to be working for an organization or whoever, either a private company, but I was going to be employed between the time I qualify until the time I turn 40. So then when I get to 40, I branch into private practice. And that's where So that was my thinking when I was talking about private practice and being a mom and being a psychologist. And so last year in my strat plan meeting, that's when God was like, so we need you to jump into private practice. And I'm like, I'm not ready, But yeah, so through much consideration and a lot more conversations with God, then it was like a thing that I needed to do, an act of obedience, or maybe the risk, actually, let me say the risk of obedience to say that, okay, let's do this. How am I going to do this? And then I jumped into it. And I was quite excited because I have my sister's child who's 9, turning 10, and then I've got Loaho. And I was excited about them watching me build something and having them being part of that, because they were in the office with me when I was putting the office together. They helped put things in place, and they helped with Kumbali was very involved with the decor and what I was going to be doing. So we've got a lot of pictures, we've got a lot of memories that speak to me as a mom, me as a person, me as a woman, a Black woman who was trying to build a private practice in South Africa, and then wanting it to sort of unlock parts of their brains to start thinking that they can do this because watched me, they are witnessing me do it. And also I was very open with the experience. Even on social media, I was, especially on Instagram, where I was sharing how hard it is, how nerve-wracking it is, how anxious I am. And so that people don't only see the end result, but they walk with me in the process of building that dream, so that it's like evident that it's not easy. It's evident that it wasn't just handed to me, didn't fall on my lap. I worked hard. So that's what it looked like, with a lot of tears, a lot of being tired, a lot of doubt, a lot of imposter syndrome symptoms, and a lot of questioning. And I almost gave up when I was told that my internship experience had expired, that I needed to go back and do my internship after I completed my master's degree. So that was like, okay, now this is not it. This is not what I signed up for, God. What's going on here? And I went back It was supposed to be for 3 months, but I decided to teach myself a lesson so that I would get to a point where I would be grateful for the experience and not do it because it's something that I had to do, and extend it so that I learned all that I needed to do just in case I wind up in private practice by myself, that I have all the tools that are necessary and the exposure that's necessary and the experience. So yeah, so the repeat of the internship, is Ling. I don't know what it is in English. So I felt like how God was pulling me back in order to shoot me through. So an experience that I didn't welcome, an experience that I hated, an experience that I was like, because it's even like embarrassing to have to go back for an internship after you have your master's degree. Like, do you face the people,
what
happened? So all those questions would lead to a sense of, am I inadequate? Am I undeserving of this? Am I incompetent? Which was the biggest hurdle that I had to sort of push through. And then now in hindsight, I realized that's actually what God was doing, because without the experience that I recently had, that's where also I met my mentor who taught me the strings of private practice and gave me the courage and motivated me. And yeah, also the experience of it was a bit uncomfortable as well, which I think also made it almost like obvious that you are here because the next phase of your life requires you to have been an employee in such an environment with such people, so that you are almost like not, I don't know, to pure, the pruning process. Yeah, I think it was like a pruning process for me. So yeah. That's how it happened.
I would have never known. When you see something, I know you shared glimpses and pieces, but now that I'm hearing the full story, I'm like, oh my goodness. And how, like, it's so inspiring, because sometimes when the things don't go as planned or as God promised us that it was going to go, and then we want to give up and give in and be like, okay, pull back. And I also just want to touch a little bit on when you said imposter syndrome, being scared, all of that. So how did you overcome? Did you jump in still feeling like that? Or I don't know. How?
Yes. So I jumped in still feeling like this, and I trusted. So I think what I always remind my imposter syndrome is the fact that I am competent and I'm qualified. You can't discard that. So you can challenge any other area in my life, but you can never take away the qualification that I have and the competence that I have that has gained me that experience. So yes, there will be feelings of being inadequate, or maybe feelings of, am I competent enough? But it's a reminder that I continuously give myself that I wouldn't be here. The HPCSA wouldn't have made me pass my board if they didn't think that I was competent. The University of Forte wouldn't have given me my degree if they didn't think I was competent. And God would not have given me the dream and would not given me the instruction to jump into private practice if I was a flimsy psychologist. So I take all of the external validations that come from these three things. So God, university, the institution that governs our practice, and then remind us that A, B, C, and D has been proven and it's valid. You've got the degrees for it and the certificates for it. And then that sort of keeps me grounded. So that's how I still deal with it, because even now there will be cases where I'm like, ooh, am I competent to take on this case? And if I feel like I'm not, I jump in because I've got somebody who supervises me, or I call my psychologist immediately, like, yo, I've got this case, can I see you? Or mentor. Resources. Remember, I use resources. Resources. And then people are like, yo, no, this is simple, or do this, or had a similar case. This is how I worked with it. Because cases are not all similar. The presenting problem might be the same, but the contextual differences are always there and they always exist. And so then that individualizes it and how you would approach it.
I love that. I love that you don't shrink when the imposter syndrome rises. I love that you just like listen, remember 1, 2, and
I remind it.
yeah.
I like, yay, when imposter syndrome, A, B, C, and D. Here is the proof.
Yes. I love
Yeah.
that so much because sometimes we back down out of our dreams and what God has given us because maybe it wasn't supposed to be me who's doing this. Maybe God should have given us so they can handle it, not us. Sometimes we delay and we don't live the life that God has called us to live because we kind of shift because we believe that we're not good enough. So I love that so much. And then what is the one thing that you wish you had known? What do you wish you had known before becoming a mother? Just one thing.
My nipples were going to crack because of breastfeeding.
Oh, goodness.
I wish I had known.
Yes.
That traumatized me.
Oh my goodness.
I was traumatized, and that I wouldn't be able to sit straight up and breastfeed and have the pain of having given birth naturally and the pain of having to breastfeed. So no one told me about that one. And the books didn't even tell me about that one, the books that I read. So that's the one thing that is definitely the one.
Yeah, I love breastfeeding, but no, I don't miss that part. That part, oh goodness. I even tried to give
just the beginning. I think the initiation of it all for me was hard, but I wanted it, so I pulled through. So, because I wanted it, but afterwards, I think like after a week or so, maybe 2, things ran smooth from there, and I breastfed until Loaho was about 16 months. Yeah, about 16 months. Yeah.
Yeah, but she wasn't biting.
No, she was a lovely breastfeeder, if there's such a thing. She was lovely.
Oh, that's because she was biting, and so the cracking kept on happening in and out.
Oh, no.
So, yeah. But yeah, I didn't for 2 years. And then when she was 2, I was like, girl, I'm done. Okay, so now for my final question, actually, it's not a question. I just want you to say something to a mom who feels, I can hear you, Asi, that your life went down like that. But as for me, I don't think that I can be a good mom and still be able to pursue my dreams at the same time. I don't see how that can go together. So what are your words of encouragement for a mom who feels that way?
I think it's important for people to remember who they were before they became a mom. So to go back to a point in your life where you started dreaming about the dreams that you had that suddenly feel like cannot be done at the moment that you are, or maybe at the season or the stage that you're currently in. And so my hope with that is that it's going to inspire you because it's your own dreams, and it's going to remind you of your capability and your strength as a person, as a woman, and that you can do it. And I think also we can always channel the negative emotions that we feel of the incompetency, the inadequateness, or the fact that I can't do this and be a mom at the same time. If we can channel that energy into achieving, even if it's something small, but remembering that we're doing it for ourselves. So if you can accomplish even one thing, that it's for yourself. Planting into your own heart, planting into your own soul and mind, and then keep watering that as in small quantities as possible, so that you don't feel the pressure of having now to achieve these big dreams. So going back to the initial point, to the original plan that you have concerning your dreams.
And then if they feel like they don't even remember what those dreams were,
then that's exciting for you. Then it means you are now going to be in a scavenger hunt. Like, what are my dreams?
Yeah.
What do I want? So how do I then achieve that? So if you need a coach, check up on a coach. If you need a psychologist, check up on a psychologist or a social worker, whoever who could help you outline and find out who are you. And there's always nice things on Pinterest, like this journal prompts about my identity, journal prompts about dreams, like Google if you are in the space of your comfort home, and then make sure that you make the time to write them down and answer those questions. So a moment of introspection, like what's the most important thing for you right now? what's the biggest fear that you have right now, then how do you make sure that that fear doesn't come true? Or maybe how do you rectify that? So spending time with self and introspecting and getting to know you. If you don't have the dreams, then that will help you sort of start having them. So yeah.
I love that. I love it so much, because sometimes we want to do the work only when we know what we want, but we don't sometimes are eager to do the work of finding out or rediscovering ourselves again. But it's very important. And
I think that's the most important, exciting part. When you don't know, you're like, what am I going to find out? Oh my goodness. What is it? How is it going to come? And if you want to do like those online personality tests, and then just if you don't know, like there's also like career tests that you could do that are free online, and then it generates a report for you. Those things could be like the initiation, the initial points, actually.
I love that. Okay, and then let all the moms who are listening know where they can find you, how this community can support you, how we can book the sessions, just all the information that we need.
I'm on Instagram and I am on Facebook, rarely, but mostly I hang out around the spaces of Instagram because a lot of my mom community is there and it's built around Instagram. And then on Instagram, on my bio, there is a website that I have there that I've left the link if you are interested in getting my services, and then it will take you to a website where I have all the information about the book, how much the sessions are, how I work, what I work with in terms of my theoretical stance.
Yes. Okay. I will definitely put all the information in the show notes, and then people can check it out and hopefully get 1 or 2 connections just from this episode.
Awesome. Thank you, Musi.
I loved it. If it was by me, we'll have it like the whole day. I learned so much. The moms who are listening.
I also enjoyed it. It was fun.
I did. Thank you so much for availing yourself. I am so honored. Butsinji, you made time for me today. Thank you so much.
Thank you, Musi. I'm honored too.